if you're actually working here, which when you look at, was that appointments done in a week? 1 and 2, or did I misunderstand?
First was set, seven, so, and then done in a week.
1 and 2.
Yes.
Okay. So I'll start with something else in regards to that. There's a guy named Trent Dilfer, right? And during the football season, I watch sports commentary because I like to know what's going on. And he's a very, very good analyst. And he was talking about Aaron Rodgers versus Mark Sanchez. And this is when Mark Sanchez was, I think, playing for the Jets. And he was still playing. Right now, he's retired. He's kind of like the commentator too. And he said something, and it was just really profound. And he said the difference between these guys like Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, and then people like Mark Sanchez, who's like a C quarterback, right, versus an A++ Hall of Famer, he said they both think that they're working hard, right? So Tom Brady thinks he's working hard, Aaron Rodgers thinks that they're working hard, and he said, but the funny thing is, Mark Sanchez also thinks in his mind that he's working hard. And I think a picture had just come out where Mark Sanchez was in a hot tub with a bunch of people, and you just don't see things like that with these really A+ type of leaders and quarterbacks in the NFL, right? Or for the NBA for that matter a lot of times, if you're like a generational talent. And he said that sometimes it requires a person to go, like if Mark went and spent time with Aaron Rodgers, which I don't know if that's allowed while you guys are playing, I don't know if people do that, but if you actually see what someone is doing when they work hard, then it's like, oh, I'm actually not working that hard, right? Like I read something on preparation, and they were talking about what type of preparation people do. So I think about my talks, like before a fast start or whatever, and or my talk at the convention, and yeah, I run it through my mind a bunch of times, and I'm constantly reorganizing my thoughts. But there's people out there, they will do that presentation before they get on a big stage 3 times a day for 6 months. And I thought to myself, wow, there's like a different level of preparation for presentations, for appointments, for speeches, for talks, for whatever, right? And so these things are, if you think that you're working hard, we have someone that's working hard on the appointment side, right? That's working hard. If you're not on appointments, there's some type of breakdown, because I do believe that people are working. The opportunity meeting is full of brand new people. You guys do a great job of getting guests out. But Primerica, you have to think about it like an assembly line, right? And the assembly line starts at prospecting. The prospecting turns into yes, which we see in these big meetings on Saturday. And a lot of you guys interview people or whatever, and then we have a Tuesday night in a couple locations as well. The guest turns into recruits. The recruits should turn into licenses and should turn into appointments, which then turns into premium, which should, doesn't always, turns into money. And so if you're recruiting a lot of people and your cash flow isn't improving, you have to look at where is the breakdown in my system. There's not a breakdown in our system, there's a breakdown in your system. Because there's people that excel in all these different areas. We have examples of people that are excelling. So if you are doing really well at the appointment side and you don't have recruits, well, we have good recruiters, so we know it's not our system. And if you're getting a lot of recruits and then you don't have premium, it's not our system why you're not getting, you have an issue. Does that make sense? And what I've been taught from my mentors is anytime you are having an issue in something, it's either your skill or your will. And with will, I'll also add in here that / character. People have a character issue. So sometimes when we think about character, we think, oh, is this person honest? That's one component of character. Part of what Primerica did for me, it built my character. I didn't have great examples in my life. including my parents. There were some areas where they taught me a lot of great things, but there's other areas where that I wouldn't want to follow their path or take their advice or copy them or emulate them, right? So Primerica is a character build. When you come in, we help develop your character. So I wrote down a couple things that makes up your character. And you want to think about these. These are things that I think about. Where can I improve, right? Number one, integrity. So that's the first thing that comes to mind. If someone's a cheater, if someone is screwing people, if someone cares more about money than their clients, if someone is doing wrongful transactions, yes, of course, common sense. They don't have integrity, that's bad character. But character is also courage. It takes courage to make the phone call. It takes courage to do the prospecting. It takes courage to, in a time of tension, to maintain your posture and remain strong in what your beliefs are, right? Sales, there's always that point of tension. Whether it's selling and it's like, this person wants to think about it and I gotta get them to understand this is not something you want to think too long about. We gotta make moves now. And but most people, when they sense the tension, they kind of back away. It takes courage to push through, right? Or like we're gonna be talking about today, when you're working with new people, there's always, it's called when rubber meets the road, right? That's that tension. How do you respond? You have to have courage. If you're not working because you're scared of rejection, it's okay, we all have that, but when are you gonna get over that? That's courage, right? Accepting responsibility. If you're blaming the system, blaming other people, blaming your situation, that's not accepting responsibility. You have to accept responsibility. This makes up character. Compassion, that's self-explanatory. Humility, that's self-explanatory. If you have good character, you have humility. Perseverance, this is a big one in this business, man. This is not an easy business. That's why the payout is so high. That's why when you win, you're overpaid. Right? Perseverance, doing it over and over and over again, and getting better and getting knocked back down and coming back up. All those different cliches, right? Will you persevere? A lot of people quit, they can't handle it. How respected are you? And really that comes from all these other areas that you're doing well in. And then, can you be accountable? Are you answerable to other people and to yourself? People who don't want accountability, they resist accountability, they hide from accountability, these people lack character, right? So character is something that as you come to meetings, as you get exposed to much bigger leaders than Shaq and I, right? You go to the convention, you go to the Fast Starts, you hang around with our mentors, Bruce, you hear from the books that we read, we're borrowing other people's information, your character will be built, right? And part of that is you're willing to work. People that are willing to work have good character. That's a part of it. So sometimes it's like we're working and we see the numbers, but there's a drop off in the skills. Anywhere in this assembly line, right? The way I envision this in my mind is how good is your conversation in these different areas of the business? That's the way I think about it. Primerica is just it's an accumulation of conversations. So when you meet someone you've never met before, what's your conversation with that person? Would you know what to say? Well, if you don't, and if you're not proficient in that conversation, then that's probably why you're not getting a lot of results or even prospecting at all, because you're thinking, I don't know what to say, so I'm not going to do it. How about when you have a guest out, right? And you want them to become a recruit? How good is that conversation? I hear all types of stuff when Shaq comes out of the meeting. The one thing we say is, don't say, what did you think? And as I walk around after the op, all I hear is people asking, what did you think? You can't get a little bit better than that? That was the difference with me, man. Like, I wanted to know, what are the best people saying? And I would just copy it. I wasn't innovative in this business. They said ask an alternate choice, right? What did you like better? The fact that you can work part-time or the fact that you can run your own business? That's an alternate choice. Why are you asking people what they think? It promotes a negative response from people, guys. a recruit to get licensed? We'll talk about this. When do you want to get licensed? When can you get licensed? When will you have time to get licensed? That's such a weak way to look at things. And it's in the numbers, I promise you. If I match up your because you guys, this is Monday. You guys are having the conversations. Or you're very new and people are having them with you, right? But this is a meeting of trainers. If you are lacking in any one of these areas, I want to hear your conversation in that area. I bet you it's weak. So we got to get better. That's the point. That's why we come to these trainings. I'll talk about some of the things that I would say, right? Getting someone on appointments. I don't care who you are, how good you think you are, right? If you have a bunch of recruits and you don't have premium, you don't have field training premium, you're not getting people out in the field, your conversations around getting people in the field, either you're backing down from tension or you're not saying the right things, that's why you're not getting results. And here's the good news, you can just fix it. Shaq and I had these problems as well, but we fixed them. And we got other people to fix them. Does that make sense? That's what this thing is about, you know? And then obviously there are the conversations with the client, which is a whole different thing. So let's go through some of this, Thomas. Let's look at some of the conversations. People getting licensed quickly. Oh, these guys are really busy. What do they teach us to say in Primerica when people say they're busy? Are you busy getting by or are you busy getting ahead? I'm trying to get you to get ahead. Right? So, why are you here? We're having this conversation. This is your first time back today. You've signed up. What is the number one priority for you in this business? Right? Is to what?
Build a team.
No, to make money. You know I'm not talking to you like that, right? I just want to come across as very direct. You want to make money, right? Okay, we can't legally compensate you until you get licensed. So how quickly, what would make sense? How quickly should you want to get licensed? Right, because you want to make money. I know I'm getting very intense here. I'm just, right? You want to make money, you can't make money until you get a license, and you're sitting here telling me you can't take off work, or you got your kids, or you got this, or you got that, right? And you can't take the class for 6 weeks. Eyes up here, guys. Because you guys are getting pushed around all day long, and that's why we don't have appointments, or that's why we don't have recruits, or that's why you don't have people coming around. It's not about being mean, it's about having conversations that get people to think a different way. Get them past that point of resistance, of their excuses. Nothing financial can happen, right? In school, let me ask you something, right? In school, do they ask when you want to take a test, or do they tell you when the test is? Right. And you can imagine if people were allowed to take the test whenever they wanted to, no one would get past the first semester in the history of all of school. Right? So here's the thing. I think that you need to take this in 10 days. You with me? Now, if we need to push it, we need to push it, but we need to schedule this within 10 days. You are not going to, this is for Virginia people, if you can, right? You are not going to start studying and really retaining the information until you know there's a deadline, right? Me and you both know that. That's why we got to get this scheduled immediately. Some of you guys are doing a great job with this. Other people are not. Listen, we're going to help you build a team. Now, you're going to have a team of people. Would you rather have them scheduling when they want to, or wouldn't it be amazing if everyone on your team was also scheduling within 10 days? Like their test was scheduled within 10 days or 2 weeks or whatever. I know people have different time frames in here. So we got to get you to do what you want your team to do. Always use that as the main reason, right? People are going to be copying you. They're going to ask you what you did. They're going to say, hey, did you come to every meeting? Well, I do see you at every meeting. You can say, yes, that's awesome. Hey, I came to every meeting. What do you want to be able to say? This is the biggest thing. If you do this quickly, other people are going to do it quickly. Let's go next, Thomas. Building a list. I think even I got this in my own mind where it's like, this is an activity for young kids and the older people, we don't get them to do it. That is so dumb, including myself. I know people that have gotten hired at Northwest Mutual, at Ameriprise, at Edward Jones, at John Hancock, all these different companies over the years. They mostly hire people 30 and up, and every single one of them are required to put down a list, typically over 100 people. And these are qualified families, not kids in college like half of us do. Okay? The list is an exercise. Now, if you feel uncomfortable getting people to put down a list, it's because you don't believe or your conversation isn't strong. What's your name in the blue shirt?
Joe.
Joe?
Yeah.
J-O-E?
Yeah.
Okay. So Joe, your friend that runs a business, that shoe store, what's his inventory? Shoes, right? Here, we're in the financial services business. Our inventory, we don't have any physical inventory. Our inventory is names on paper, because names on paper turn into appointments and sales. They turn into appointments and teammates. If that's what leads to money and sales, how big would you want your inventory to be? As big as possible. Right? Joe says, right, I'll reach out to them, I'll contact them. Let me ask you something. How much do you know versus how much do I know? Simple question. As a percentage, how much do you know about this business? Joe, this is your second day here. You saw one group presentation, now you're here. How much do you know about the business as a percentage?
10%.
10. Probably not even that, right? But I'll say, okay, so you know 10, I know 100. What do you think logically? Who should be doing the talking? Or you can see Joe and he looks sharp and you're just happy that he joined and you can say, I'll just let him do whatever he wants. There's a reason he's here, because he wants to learn. He wants to be guided. Now, naturally, everyone says those things, gives those objections, puts up that front, right? He's going to do that, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to buy it all. I'm the one running the business. Right? Hey, there's some people you don't know well, right? What would be less awkward? Me calling them as a recruiter or you calling them and you haven't talked to them in 10 years? Oh, I only know 6 people. No. You only know 6 people. But you've met and have numbers of how many? 100. Right? Remember your office manager from, who's this number? Okay, that was your office manager from 3 jobs ago. Very awkward if you gave her a call, right? Hey, Jane, remember me? No, you don't. It's dumb. It doesn't make any sense. But here's how it could go. I could call her and say, hey, Jane, how you doing? This is Samir. I help run a financial services company. Your name and number, blah, 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 right? What seems more normal in that scenario and is less awkward? Me calling. You got to talk people through things. Just because you've come to 100 trainings doesn't mean that they have. And they're just going to, and in a sense, why should he just give everything up? He needs to hear the reassurance. He needs to hear the logic. Right? What if someone was willing to give you $2,000 for every number in your phone? You know, this question, it's a funny question, but in reality, most people wouldn't be able to resist that. I was watching a YouTube video the other day. It was really stupid, but I got wrapped into it. I'm watching it, right? And this guy is just randomly, so he's like, I need good karma in my life, so I'm going to give away some money so I can attract good karma, and because he was trying to accomplish something. And I was like, all right, what's he about to do? He was just pulling out money from his pocket. Randomly, he'd go to a yard sale, he'd pick up a teddy bear, and they'd be like, how much is this? And they'd say $5, and he goes, here's 500. And the way that people would respond, one guy he gave 1,000, another person 500, the waiter he gave 1,000. He was doing this all around town, right? And I thought to myself, damn, people need money, man. $500, $1,000 is a lot of money for a lot of people. We forget that. So back to this, like, if someone was willing to give you $2,000 for every number in your phone, would you do it? Of course you would. Well, guess what? If you put all these numbers down and we go through these numbers, I promise you, we're going to make a hell of a lot more than $2,000. That's what's happening. Building this list creates productivity. Productivity creates sales and money. Next. Right, Sheila? When I did those orientations for you, we had that guy, I think his name was Eric, then we did Pertley. I did the 4-minute name game, right? We got, I don't know what really came out of it, but I mean, I got 50, 60 numbers from these people. It works. How about recruiting? Joe's not going to recruit. Why not? Would he be recruiting on another team? If he was on another team, if he was on Josh's team, would he be recruiting? I've seen Josh turn the most random people into double-digit recruiters. That I know if that person was recruited into another team, they wouldn't even have one recruit. Hey, Joe, imagine a business. How would a business run without the owner present? You ever heard someone say, oh yeah, my business runs itself? How is it being run? How?
They got a strong number 2.
Right? They got a strong number 2, and probably a 3, 4, 5, 6, right? There's a team of people. So you see how that works, right? So we want that owner to be you one day, so we got to get some people under you. We got to get some people on your team. I know it's awkward. I know it's abnormal. I know it's unorthodox. Of course it is, right? But we still have to do it. That's the only way we can get to where we want to go. Almost rhetorical. Imagine there is a real estate broker or an insurance broker or an investment broker. One has 100 people selling for him. The other person has 2 people selling for her. Which one is going to make more money? Of course. So we want you to have as many as possible because the implication there is you're going to make more money. If you got a loan for $1 million, and sometimes this happens, right? People say, and they do this with the appointments too. Because sometimes we hit on, or certain people hit on, like middle income, helping people with money, and people misconstrue that with not financial services, but social services. And they say, oh, I got this appointment we can go on, this person is about to lose their house, they haven't had a job. Like, that's not the appointment we want to be on. And then they do the same thing with recruits. Yeah, this guy really needs money, man. He's struggling. Like, that's the first person I want to put on my list.
Oh my God.
Okay, well, it's okay. They don't know, right? So if you got a loan for $1 million and you literally bought a business and you were in debt $1 million and you had to hire people to run that business, what kind of people would you hire to run that business? What kind of qualities would they have? Yeah, now it's your $1 million loan, right? Now they have to be leaders, and they have to be ethical, and they have to be motivated, and they have to be honest, and they have to be hardworking. It's the same thing here. This is something I was taught to say, I still say it. If you are building a business, which here you are, in any business, you don't go out there and say, I'm looking for people worse than me. You're not looking for people worse than you. You're looking for people as good, if not better than you. If you talk to business owners, the people in their business know their business a lot of times better than them in terms of like in the business, the mechanics of the business. Well, I want to wait so I can be fully trained, then I will train them. A lot of people say this. I really don't know where the logic is here. I think it's just a stall tactic so they don't have to recruit.
Right.
Well, how long is it going to take for you to get fully trained? I mean, some people get fully trained in 6 months. Some people get fully trained in 3 years. Everybody's different. If it takes 6 months for you to get fully trained, does it make sense to wait 6 months? Or in 6 months, you could have 3 or 4 fully trained people around you? Which one sounds better? It's obvious. Right? Even if you're fully trained in 6 months, are you going to be better than I am right now? I've been here for 4 years. These are questions, right? I'll say 20, you can say 4, 5, 3, 2, whatever it is. Next one, Thomas. Right, and then this one is field training appointments. Why do we go on appointments? Well, how often do people think about money?
Every day.
All the time. How often do people talk about money?
Every day.
All the time. So when people think and talk about money, and you're saying that happens all the time, whose name do you want to come up? The bank? The letter they got in the mail? The cold call they're getting from a different financial advisor? Someone else? No, we want them to think of you, but how are they going to think of you if they have no idea what you're doing? We are setting appointments not because we want to sell people things that you know. That happens, right? Naturally. But it's because we want to get the word out about what you're doing. See, here's the thing. Your aunt is, let's say, doesn't buy anything, doesn't want anything. But maybe her son, right, which is your cousin, maybe he just got married and she can tell him, go sit down with Ali. This is where we use the grand opening example. If you were having a grand opening, who would you tell? Who would you want to come and see? Maybe it's a steakhouse. Would you even tell your friends that are vegetarians? Sure, let them just come and see. They can talk about it. It doesn't mean that they have to eat. It doesn't mean you're trying to invite them so they can make... You know that a lot of my friends that have opened restaurants, the grand opening, they don't even charge. The food is all free. When they have those soft openings, when it's basically just friends and family, they just say, hey, come out, get a free meal, just tip the servers. They just want to get the word out. They're not having the people come because it's a revenue source for them. You got to get the word out, right? And then this is the biggest one. How soon should we find out if we want to work together, right? See, when we go on an appointment, here's why I want you to go on a few appointments. Because we are going to go on appointments, and one of two things is going to happen. You guys have heard me say this a million times. Either we're going to go on an appointment and you're going to say, oh, this is what we do? This is what Primerica does? This is what I'm getting trained to do? Or you're going to say, oh, this is what we're doing? So one's going to motivate you to do more. One is going to discourage you and you're not going to want to do it anymore. Regardless of what that result is, you want to do it or you don't want to do it, want to find out as quickly as possible, don't we? This is not something you're going to do. Let's find out. You don't know the business until you get on appointments. And I tell Joe, I say, dude, this is all theory to you right now. It's theoretical that people need what we do, that people have cash value, that people actually buy from us, that we're actually good in the field, that we're not going to embarrass you. We have to show you that it actually happens. And when you see it happen in reality, that is when you're going to figure out how hard you want to go with this thing. That's the level of conversations you have to have with people in order to get them in the field. And you got to get them in the field fast. What keeps people around? Results. Recruiting results, appointment results, licensing results. You got to get people results. And it's through these conversations and doing the right things and strengthening your conversations in all these different areas. And sometimes, you know what? You can't back down. Oh, but if I act like that, they're going to quit. Well, them not getting results, they're going to quit anyways. There is an element of that, guys. You know, now that doesn't mean that you're a total a-hole, right? But you can't just always be backing down. All right. Any questions about that? Shaq, anything else?
Orientation today at 1:30.
Orientation today at 1:30. Who has people coming to that? I know Sheila has too. You guys got people coming? So, a lot of what the orientation is these different things that I'm talking about today. I'm saying these things, right, with a little bit of intensity because I'm not talking one-on-one, so when you're in a group, you can do that. And the whole idea is for them to hear these conversations coming from me so that when you guys get them, they are ready to go in building a list, and introducing you to friends and family and bringing people and passing their exam. Okay, team on three. 1, 2, 3.